Hi, welcome to Shocked Little Girl Bowden number 5. If you're listening to this podcast and you know that you have emotional triggers to sensitive content, then please keep it moving because this is real content. Okay, so this weekend, it was really horrible. It was like something that you would see on a Lifetime movie, for real. Oftentimes I say that my life has been like one giant movie because so much has happened. This weekend I went through a lot of drama that, has weighed heavy on my mind to this day, to right now. Okay, so it starts out like this, that Mother Gloria really does have uterine cancer, okay? And the way she gets people to do things for her is she uses this terminal illness. Well, it's not terminal. I take that back. It's not terminal now, but she uses her illness to try to get her way or to control people, try to get people to do whatever it is she says that she wants them to do and when she wants them to do it. So on this particular day, last week it started, she ended up fussing with one of my sisters, the one that she lives with, and she basically kicked herself out. And as a result of that, I knew immediately she was going to play on my emotions because it's nothing new. This is what she does all the time. And to other people, it's new to them. But to me and my sisters, it's not new to us. So she goes to one of the abandoned houses that's beside me and calls herself going to stay in it, live in it, And, I'm kind of more like, okay, so that's your choice. That's what you want to do. I'm not answering no phones or anything to talk to anybody because I don't want any part of it. I mean, I've just thoroughly just washed my hands of it because it got to the point where I was becoming sick trying to help the sick. And when it comes down to making a choice between my life and her life, I had to choose me. I had to choose me for reasons that are not selfish. And I say that because it started all back in January 2019. November 2019. And she kept having to go to the hospital repeatedly over and over for these bleeding episodes that she was having. And she would say it was menstrual flowing and stuff. And I mean, it got really grossed out where she would bleed up people's cars. She bled up the ambulance. She could literally bleed a bucket full of blood. And so what ended up happening was, it got to the point one time where it was so bad and her blood was so low, they allowed me to sign for her to have the biopsy, and because they declared her at that time not competent, which they needed a family member to step up and take charge. Now, mind you, I'm the adopted daughter, but when it comes down to stuff like this, she all of a sudden says that I'm her daughter if she thinks that she's going to get any type of money out of it or compensation. And so what ends up happening is I signed for her to have the biopsy of her uterine, and they do find cancer. Now, she has put us through this drama of her bleeding out and stuff for the last 30 years. She's been bleeding like this, and she wouldn't get the surgery that she needed to fix as a way of punishing us, and getting us to do whatever she wanted her to do. She knew that it would play on us emotionally, and at some point it began to control us as to how we did things at home and how we responded to when she would have to call the ambulances. I mean, sometimes the ambulance would get called 7-8 times out the week, and they would keep her for a while, give her some pints of blood, 4 to 5 pints of blood, and then send her back home because she would refuse further treatment once she got the blood and started feeling better. Well, the thing about it is that Gloria knows that she's sick, but she doesn't want to get well because she can benefit from being sick. And these benefits are not really worth her life, but she doesn't mind she doesn't care who she hurts to get her way. All she wants is money. She actually told the doctor that if you pay me to take the surgery, then I will take the surgery. And that was something that really shocked all of them. They were like, well, we can't pay you to take the surgery. And it got to a point where when they called us all in there together and they told us that they was going to be calling in hospice for, she refused hospice services because at this time now she's back competent and they're allowing her to make her own decisions. So throughout the years, they have called me, social services has called me, and they've had me to sign papers, whenever it was time for her to get blood transfusions and stuff. And that's only if she's out of her mind at the time, if she's not competent. And in return, I'm getting all this verbal abuse from her, all this negativity. I mean, it's just a feeling that weighs heavy on your heart because you're like, do I do the right thing? Do I save her life? Because I feel like she doesn't know what she's doing, or do I just let her be? And so in February 2020, I got sick. Some think it was Corona. That's when Corona came out. A lot of people were sick, and I was very bad sick. And I was like, I cannot do it anymore. I can't, keep running back and forth to the hospital. And, this same thing keeps happening because we did it like over 1,000 times. Maybe more than 1,000 times, really. I mean, and everybody knows her automatically. They know who she is. All the doctors, even the new ones, they have already been scoped on her. And so, my thing is this. I love my mother, but I didn't realize how bad she was playing on my emotional intelligence up until it would be 2020. That's when I realized, hey, she's doing this as a form of payback to punish us, her children, her mother, punish us all for, when she can't get her way. And that's when I recognized, she's having all these tantrums just trying to get her way. And sometimes it would be just for a pack of cigarettes that we would have to go through all this drama. And she would purposely go and eat stuff that she knew would make her bleed. I mean, there were certain foods. I mean, there's just certain foods that she can eat, and she knows that automatically it's going to make her bleed. And so we're trying to help her save her life. But at some point, when does she step up to try and help herself, try to save her own life? I mean, we're talking about a woman here who she's very competent of making her own decisions. Go to talking about her money and see how wise she gets, how wise she becomes. We're talking about a woman who will purposely jump in front of a moving car to get hit for insurance money. And yeah, this may be criminal, but it is what it is, because I am to the point where, well, that was back in the days when I knew she would do little stuff like that. At that time, I was a little girl, and that'll be another topic, okay? But right now, I'm focusing on this uterine cancer thing, because it was the other night that she put herself out of my sister's house, and she came out to this house beside me, and my sister pulled up to my yard, and we began to talk. And I knew that, without a shadow of a doubt, I knew that within the hour the ambulance was going to be there, because this was just that type of toxic cycle that she has done all of our lives. When she doesn't get her way, she goes into these fits and she calls the ambulance. They'll come get her, especially when she knows she's in the wrong. Rather than apologize for how she treated my sister and treated me, she would rather call the ambulance and make us look bad to the doctors or make it seem like we were neglecting her, when reality is none of us have a power of attorney over her medical or her physical. None of us have guardianship over her. None of us have access to her finances. She's in control of all that. And so they look to us and they ask us questions, and we don't know the answers to these things, because one thing about narcissistic sociopaths, they are very private about their business. They know all your information, but you don't know any of theirs, because they'll sit around and listen at you talk all day and pretend like they can't hear you at times when you start to ask questions. Like, I may ask her a question like, how are you doing today? And she'll pop off very like, there's nothing wrong with me. What are you talking about? She'll go to a whole nother conversation that never even really started, that has nothing to do with me asking, how are you doing? But anyway, so what got me really upset emotionally is the fact that I knew that she was going to call the ambulance, and I knew that hospital was going to call me, because I'm always the one that they call. If it's not me, it's my brother Joe. But 95 times out of 100, it's going to be me. Call Jamie. She'll know what to do. And so, what happens is she gets up there. I don't have transportation, but she sees me with my daughter's car in the yard, and it's not working because the steering wheel is out and it's on recall. But anyway, she sees the car in the driveway, so she decides to call the ambulance. They take her to the hospital. She's not even up there an hour before they discharge her. Nothing. There was nothing they could do for her. She said for pain, I highly doubt that she was in pain. I mean, that's just me. I'm not a doctor or anything. Emotional pain, emotional distress, yes. To make us pay for being ourselves, for speaking up for ourselves, yeah. That, I do believe that she was in that type of pain, because we are now learning to take up for ourselves. And so I already said that I was not going to answer the phone if the nurses called, because I've been through this before, making decisions after decisions only to get hurt worse emotionally and verbally by her verbal abuse. She's not going to try to fight, but she's very verbal abusive, and her cold-hearted ways of treating me. And so I just rather not deal with her at all. At this point, my health is at stake because of the emotional abuse that I'm suffering because of her and Mother Cammie. So I don't talk to them. If I can help it, I don't talk to them. I don't go around them. I prefer no contact, but I do have to have contact because of my other family members that are around them. But I knew, there was no doubt in my mind that ambulance was going to be called, and that those nurses were going to call me first and ask me, can I get a ride for her? And so I didn't answer the phone. And what happens when you don't answer the phone? I thought that they would stop calling, or maybe they just leave a lot of messages. Maybe they would try somebody else. Maybe she would tell them to try somebody else. But that's not what happened this time. So what really got to me this time was the fact I was coming home from my daughter's house, picking up my grandkids, and here coming out of my yard, backing out of my yard, is the sheriff department. The sheriff department is telling me that you need to get in contact with the hospital. They have your mother up there, and they need to talk to you. It's an emergency. And so I tell the sheriff, okay, I'm going to call. I don't tell the sheriff the history of what's going on or anything like that, because there's nothing that the sheriff can do. Plus, it was a lady that I'd never seen before. So I call up to the hospital just to see what they're going to say. And they said, can you come get Gloria? Can you arrange a ride for Gloria? I said, I don't have anything for Gloria. I don't have a ride for her. And my sister, she fell out with my sister. My sister Told her she could do what she wanted to do, so I doubt my sister would come up there because she, made her have headaches and stuff, migraines and stuff. People do not know how serious this is when you're dealing with a narcissistic, and this one is bipolar, by the way, narcissistic, bipolar, sociopath. She's a combination in there. When you're dealing with somebody like that, they will kill you with the words, with how they look at you, how they belittle you, how they pick on you. They could be in the same situation as you, and their situation isn't funny but urgent. But if you're in that same situation, it's funny to them. They laugh at everything bad that happens to you. They laugh at embarrassed moments. Anything that bad happens to you, they laugh at it. But when it comes time to celebrate you, they don't do that. They don't celebrate. And so I refused that call. And we get on down further, a little bit further on down to the next day. The next day, I don't know who it was. Somebody picked her up and took her to my sister's house. Okay? I don't know who it was. But what I do know is that she was in that home with my sister. And she was there in her room that she has. And all of a sudden, this happens. I get a phone call that she's uptown at the laundromat, sitting out there in the heat of the day. It can get kind of hot here in Candor, North Carolina. Mostly muggy hot. And I get a call saying that she's sitting up there and she needs a ride this, she needs a ride that. And I'm like, I'm not answering the phone anymore. At this point, my brother's on the inbox saying, well, do you know why this is happening? Do you know why she put her out? And because she didn't pay this, she didn't pay that. I said, at this point, that's not even my problem. That's not even my house. I don't want to know why she was put out. I don't want to know anything to do with the situation. But come to find out, she put herself out again because she couldn't do what she wanted to do in somebody else's house. And so again, to make us suffer, I knew it. When I saw she got dropped off beside me again at the old house beside me that's abandoned, really. I mean, it's my old grandma's house, but it's not livable. But I saw her get dropped off again out there, and she was coming out of the house, and she just sat down on the porch, and I said, oh my God, here we go again. She is going to call the ambulance again. And sure enough, she did. She called the ambulance again, and, just like the day before, I started getting the call, and the call was, I didn't answer the phone, but when I checked the messages, the call was, this is such and such a hospital. Can you come and pick your mother, Gloria, up? She has been discharged. Each time she went to the hospital, they found no reason to keep her. They found no reason to give her any extra pain medications or anything. She only did this out of spite for her children. The children that she don't call children, her children. But only when she needs them does she claim us as her daughters. And that's hard for her to say. It's hard for her to look at people and say, that's my daughter. Because she's just like her mother, Cammie. They don't like girls. They don't like women. They don't like anything good that happens to anybody. And and so the thing where I'm at right now is I have to push myself to get past these emotional games. If I don't push myself to get past these emotional games, even though I didn't take part in them and play in them, I played a small role this time. But still, it's the weight of what I do know that holds me down sometimes. And so that's where I got to get to, is where the weight does not hold me down. Their weight does not hold me down. It's like they project whatever they're feeling or going through. They put that off on me to feel like that burden belongs to me, according to them. But I've since learned how to stand up for myself. I've since learned how to stop playing the games. I played these games with them back and forth since I was a child. There were times when I really believed, oh my God, this is it. She's dying. She's dying. And do you know the fear that gets in a person when they think that their mother is dying? Think about it, because they say mothers, if once you lose your mother, you lost it all. And so you grow up with this feeling in your mind. Once you lose your mother, you lost it all. So each time she plays this game saying that she's finna die, or have the doctors, calling us with all this bad news over and over, that's mental torture. And it's hard to get out of that, breaking of that feeling, that anxiety, that intensity that plagues on your body. And it drains you. It drains you. Once it starts happening, like for me, once it starts happening, my heart automatically goes to beating fast. When I see the phone calls, when I see the numbers, I know the area codes, 910, 571. When I see those area codes pop up on my phone, even if it's just a message left, my heart beats. My heart beats so fast and hard because I don't know what that doctor's going to say. And that's why, I have to be careful of how I answer my phone. I keep my phone off. I do not have the ringer on. I also do not have the text message ringer on. I don't have any notifications on because it is part of the CPTSD that I have. It's like a trigger for me, and not in a good way. So the whole time that she's doing this stuff to us, she's actually got people that's buying into these shenanigans and these games and these dramatics. She's got church people telling us that, hey, you ought not do your mother like that. That's the only mother you're going to have in your lifetime. And I actually look at them like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. We're not doing anything to her. It's what is she doing to us? What are they doing to us? Both of the mothers are just completely insane. And I understand that we're not going to get but one mother. That's all we're going to ever have is one mother, one biological mother. The mother that God planted us in their womb or whatever. That mother remains the same. But to be a mother, I can't say I've experienced having a motherly figure in my life. I've never experienced that. I can't say that I experienced a mother that was loving, that was kind, that was not envy or jealous of me, that was never at competition with me. I can't say I've not experienced that, because on some of these podcasts, you're going to hear where I'm actually being accused of, having relations with my fathers, with both fathers, from both mothers. So, I just let people think what they want to think. And if they come off on me wrong, I'm going to correct them. Because I know what I've been through with both Mother Cammie and Mother Gloria. I know how hard it has been for me. If you hear something, it's a plane flying over my head. But I know how hard it's been for me personally to love myself because of the emotional... Trying to let this plane go by. Because of the emotional torture and abuse that I've suffered. And the sad thing about it is, I didn't even realize that, y'all, this plane. I didn't even realize how bad I was suffering until I got in my 40s. It was after my dad died when I realized how much training they really had done to me to jump at their every move, to jump at their every command. They were emotionally controlling me, and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize the cycle until I was in my 40s. And then I was like, wait a minute. I started teaching this podcast called Kiva. And on there, I teach women this stuff. And as they learn, I'm learning too. And I picked up on the cycle. I said every time that she gets upset with one of us or nothing goes her way, she ends up at the hospital. And then she listens. She gets her fuel by listening at the doctors talk junk to us, listening at the nurses talk junk to us. It makes her feel good. She feels really good when they put us down for not being the children that most loving mothers would have. They really put us down. I have had arguments with doctors. I have told them, well, you don't know her like I know her. And they'll look at me and say, well, that's still your mother. Not understanding that this is also someone who should be in a psych ward, who should be locked up, who should have been charged years ago with child abuse. Should have been charged with it, really. Should have been charged with child abuse when stuff first started happening, and the people that knew about it should have been charged as, what do you call it, accessories. They knew. They knew who she was. Instead of bragging about it when we were drinking, some of these same people, we drunk beer and hung out with them and listened at them tell stories of how she tried to get rid of us as kids. But they didn't go to the police. So who do we believe? Do we believe them or believe her? Because she said it herself. Yeah, I buried you alive. And I'll do it again. If I had the chance to do it again, I would do it again. That's what Mother Gloria said. She admitted to burying us alive. And people don't think we have a right to respond and take up for ourselves. And so when it comes down to the church people, they can say that I'm ungodly if they want to. I love my mothers. I love both of them. But I refuse to let them manipulate me. I refuse to let them kill me. And that's physically. I refuse to let them kill my spirit anymore, emotionally. Because I walked around all these years with a broken heart, a broken spirit, with the spirit of rejection and abandonment upon me. And didn't know why I was making the choices I was making until I figured out the cycle that was going on. And the cycle of abuse was emotional abuse. Didn't hit me physically after I was an adult and learned how to take up for myself. But verbally and emotionally, yeah, tore me up. Tore me completely up. So how I feel about things now is that I will not change who I am now. Right now, I'm in a good place in life. And I'm in a good place to make decisions for myself now. I would say a more healthier place of mind to make more healthier decisions for me now. And to not let what they do, not let it get next to my heart to the point where I break down and I'm no longer no good for myself or anyone else. Because you can't get to the place. You can get to an exact place where you don't want to be around anybody, you isolate, and you'll miss out on the good things in life trying to protect yourself from evil people like her. So now is the time for me to really step my game up and let them know that it will not game, but to really have faith in God. And I've always had faith in God that the right things would be done, the right words would be said. But, I'm 44 years old. I can't afford to play these mind games that they have gotten used to. So, see, they're so used to me jumping for them and agreeing with them or trying to take up for them. I took up for them so many years concerning these health conditions with Gloria. And it just got to a point where I was looking like a fool. I go up in there and stand up for her and take up for her. Be like, don't give her this, don't give her that. Trying to go by her wishes. And the whole time, She's setting me up to be ate up by the doctors and the nurses. She's setting me up the whole time. She's laying in bed laughing. Well, I'm sitting over there on the chair crying because the doctor just said, she's got uterine cancer and, she may not have long to live. It was stage 2 at that time in 2020. I don't know what it is now, but she refused to take the surgery to stop the bleeding. And so that was kind of like the point for me when I seen her laughing about it. And knowing what I know about narcissists, I know that they will bring you down too, especially when they feel like that, they're near their end. They would do everything they can to take what little mind and self-respect and self-worth you do have from you. And so when I saw her laughing as the doctor was telling us, and she was like, "Oh, I ain't going nowhere," and then she's laughing about it, that opened my eyes up to say, you can't take care of her. Now is the time that you actually need to take care of you. You need to prepare yourself mentally and physically to live your life. At the time I'm trying to take care of her, I'm going down. My health is going down with high blood pressure, borderline type 2 diabetes, COPD. So my health is going down trying to take care of hers. And I think there's a such thing as you can tend to everybody else's business so much until you lose yourself in the process. And it's hard to come back to yourself. You no longer live in your world, your reality. You're now living in, your strings are being pulled like a puppet in somebody else's world, somebody else's reality. So for me, when my health started going down and I started gaining weight and stuff, it was time for me to take back who I was. And this time, when I decided to take back who I was, this time I had to go against church people's opinions. I had to go against both my mother's opinions and words and what they thought about me. I had to really pick myself up. Like you see that orange, it's a mom with an orange that carries itself. It carries itself in the peeling. I had to literally be the peeling for myself and pick myself up to come back to get healthy again. And I have to do it often, repeatedly. I had to stop just being in the business of what they was doing. I just stopped everything. When I shut down everything. I'm no longer trying to find a house for them or anything. I had to stop and just really focus and take care of myself. I had to learn how to do Tai Chi to help with my stress. And I started working out and lost over 100 pounds. And I'm still working out and hopefully still losing weight. I haven't been on the scale, but I'm still believing that I'm losing weight and getting healthy and getting my muscles back and stuff. But on the other side of things, I had to start tending to my business. It was time that, I just shut that off and started tending to my business. And once I started tending to my business, I went no contact actually and did really good with that up until I had to go around them again. And I'm learning how to be around them without being around them, without disassociating, because I will disassociate right quick. If I am in a toxic environment, I will disassociate. So I had to pick myself up and get the right therapy and help. I'm currently still underneath the therapist and psychiatrist for complex PTSD, and processing stuff is not the easiest. And that's one of the reasons why I started to be specifically for this right here that I'm going through now. It's nights like this or days like this when I have a flashback or something to help me process it more better, the things that I've been going through, so I know how to deal with it better, because it's not easy holding all this stuff in your head and heart and not knowing, what's the outcome of this? What happened to me as a child? As child number 5, I can tell you, number 5 went through hell. Number 5 was beaten. Number 5 was manipulated. Number 5 was, I had guns pulled on me. I had knives pulled on me. Number 5 had bowls broken over her head. Had so many things. So when I get around those toxic people in my family, I do disassociate. And I'm trying to learn how not to disassociate. That's why I started this podcast, to help me so that I could face those battles instead of running from them. Because I am a child of God. And I do love the Lord. And I love my mothers too. But I love myself as well. And that's something that, I would say that's something that I never really done before. Was love myself like the way I do right now. So I love myself right now enough to walk away from anything that isn't serving purpose in my life. And I hope that this podcast helps somebody who may be going through the same thing with their mothers, because people who have good mothers or halfway good mothers, they wouldn't understand what it's like to be put through this. They wouldn't understand what it's like to go through day after day manipulation, and to think, yes, finally we're having a motherly moment and we're going to be happy. Everybody's going to be happy. And, you have this fairy tale moment in your head. And every time it starts to really play itself out, all of a sudden, one of the mothers will do something so that it doesn't play all the way out. And you live with that half scene throughout the rest of your life. Throughout the rest of your life, you live with that longing for that mother's love, affection. And so I'm not numb to what I've been through with them. I'm not numb to the manipulation of the doctors and all that stuff and the church people. And sometimes some of the meanest people can be the people in church who come up and tell you, this ain't how you supposed to do that. You need to do it like this. But also, the Bible teaches us to come from among those who are non-believers. And, anybody can put on a mask and say that I am a believer of Jesus Christ. But if their actions show different, what do you believe? I don't think Jesus would want you killing your daughter, emotionally or physically. And when I look at the cemetery, there are babies out there because of their mothers. But yet, some of these church people will tell you to stay in these toxic relationships with your parents. When reality is, you need to grow up. Especially when you are my age, you have to grow up to them. And it's not the easiest thing to do, but it is the right and necessary thing to do if you're going to have any kind of decent living and life. If you're going to have any kind of peace and joy in your life, you're going to have to learn how to grow up to people who are manipulating you. And those boundaries, setting those boundaries, are going to have to be real. And you're going to have to be real about what you set, because it was a point in time where I set boundaries, but I didn't stick by them because I didn't realize how toxic of a relationship it was for me with my mothers. I didn't realize how bad it was until 2019 when my studio burned down. So we can thank 2019 for this podcast, because when that fire happened and I almost died in that fire, that's when things really came to light for me. That's when I realized the first thing they want to know, is she dying? Is she dead? They didn't say how's she doing or anything. They just wanted to know, did I die in the fire? And that's something, that is not shocking for me, coming from what I know about narcissistic personality disorder. It's not shocking to me that they didn't care. And what really would have made them excited and made them smile is if I would have died. They would have been so happy. And that's truth be told. They would have been happy, truth be told.